Welcome to real-time e-commerce product recommendations with vector search and Apache Cassandra. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. I'm sure most of you know me, but I'm a developer advocate for DataStax. I've worked with Cassandra for a very long time for a lot of major e-tailers. I host the Apache Cassandra Corner podcast. So if you have a great story about Cassandra or about your use case, I would love to talk with you and help you tell your story. Let's see here. All right. So if you've seen any of our other e-commerce workshops that we've run, you know a little bit about the tech stack behind it. Where we've done the front end in Tailwind CSS with React. The service layer we've put out on Spring Boot, and the back end has been done with Spring Data. Because it works super well with Spring Boot, especially when you're trying to do a web or an MVC pattern type of an application. However, due to the fact that that vector search is really new and the inherent types that we needed in Cassandra and in AstraDB, by the way, is what we're going to use today for this. Those types aren't recognized in Spring Data just yet. So I actually did have to, be able to code around it to get it to recognize the vector embeddings. And I'll cover that in the code, or at least it's my plan to cover that in the code. We'll see how things go along, huh? Recommendations are what we're going to be talking about today. And the idea is that when we do an add to cart action, we're going to go ahead and trigger this additional lookup. And this lookup is actually going to, give us an additional option about what we might want to purchase in addition to what we've already put in our cart. So we're going to return the first similar product, and we're going to determine that similarity using something called a vector search. And essentially, vector search allows us to go over vector embeddings that we create ahead of time. And the embeddings that we're going to create are based on the product name. And we'll use the NLP based, technique of, I think it's called, bag of words. That's right. Where we kind of build up our vocabulary based on the words that are in all of our product names. And then each product in their vector embedding gets a 1 or a 0, depending on whether or not they have that product or not. So the queries that we need to be able to support, we need to be able to query a product by its ID or its vector embedding. And additionally, we need to be able to query based on a ANN or an approximate nearest neighbor based on, another product's vector. So that is what we're going to try to do today. Okay, so vector search is a feature that is coming to Apache Cassandra. It'll be in version 5.0 when it's released by the end of the year. And it is a part of CEP 7. So if you want to go out and read CEP 7, that is actually, I have my wrong CEP there. That's actually for the storage attached indexing, which is required for vector search to actually work. And it's actually required for a few other major features that we're going to be seeing in Cassandra 5.0, but it's live today out on AstraDB, so that's what we're gonna use. The other trick is that we have to have a special kind of database created in AstraDB. It has to be a vector enabled database. So that is something that again, I was hoping to have all built and running ahead of time, but everyone's going to get to watch me do that too. This is really just a visualization of, I did a blog post. Oh, you know what? I don't know if this one's made it out there yet. Anyway, so the idea here is that I created this fictitious category of pet related or dog related products. and created a vocabulary based on just these product names. And that's how I created my product vector. And then I kind of have the, the query down here showing, how you'd go ahead and pull that back by the vector. And that's right. CEP7 is for the storage attached indexing, and then CEP30 is vector search. And both of those are making their way into Cassandra 5.0. Okay, for a simple data model, we built a, there's a one-to-one table. And typically in the database world, you don't see a lot of one-to-one relationships. But in this case, there's a lot in the product table that we just don't need in product vector. But in the product vector table, I added things that we need to actually build up the pop-up, that comes up when we trigger a vector search, and we're showing that top result there. So in that case, we basically have in that product vector table, true to Cassandra modeling form, we have exactly what we need to suit that query. So that's what we're going to run with. All right, so. Well, I guess that's about it. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't tuned into our new workshop format before, we are going to try and get this done in about 30 minutes. So that's why we're kind of burning through some things here. But essentially for the hands-on, we're going to sign in. We're going to navigate through our products. We are going to add some things to our cart. And then hopefully, if we did everything right, that triggers a vector search. You can find this all out on github.com AAR0NP workshop _e-commerce _prototype. The reason that I had to do this in a separate Git repo is that you absolutely need a vector enabled database behind it. And once I had that in there, then the original e-commerce just would not, it would not work. So I didn't want to take the chance of like hosing anyone who is going to try and building up the original project. So here I have this prototype, and I'll worry about getting them like merged in properly at some point here. To create a vector database, essentially, I'll go down to this Create a Database button, click it. I'm going to make sure that instead of serverless database, I'm selecting vector database. Now I can name it ecom vector. That should work. For the key space name, I'm going to say e-commerce. And I want to make sure that for the free tier, you're in Google. And for me, the closest free region is US East 1 in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Now I can say create database. Let me go ahead and run out here and just see what I can do with it second. Okay, so if I say use e-commerce, and I'm going to be following the README that we have out there. But if I say desk tables, okay, there we go. So you can see I have all of these tables out here. Maybe I'll increase the font just a little bit. There we go. And you can say desk table. We'll say product vectors. Okay. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and created this product vectors table. Product ID is my lone primary key. The other thing we have on this table is that the product vector is using the vector type. It's using an internal data type of float, and it is a 32-dimensional float. Now that 32 represents the total size of our product name vocabulary. So if we were to look at all of the product names, so I can say select product name. There we go. And we'll say from product, just like that. Oh, it didn't like that at all. Oh, you know what? I think it's just name. Yeah, I should have known that. Hey, there we go. So you can see all of these product names here, like go away annotation T-shirt, DataStax black hoodie, Apache contributor shirt. And some of these are doubled and tripled up. Again, they're going to be in there for each time. It has like a size, so you're going to have an entry in there for like both a small, medium, large, XL, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, so this is what our 32-word vocabulary is made of. Here is our product vectors table, and you can see that I've created this index type. It's create custom index on product vectors and on the product vector column. And the idea is that it's using that storage attached index class, which again is not available right now in Cassandra, but it will be as of 5 once the once CEP 7 gets in there. Once you've done that, you can go to CQL shell, and I have a whole bunch of insert statements here that you can run and populate the data. You can see session 5 vector search data. So these are the inserts that that take the products which have been built as vector embeddings, and you can copy this and then paste it in, and you should have that table all created. So now if I go ahead and select from product vectors, and okay, well, actually that's going to be a little difficult to read. So why don't I be a little judicious on what I'm pulling back? We'll say name and product vector. Okay, well, this is slightly better, but basically what you can see here is that, we have our product name, and then kind of like I described with the bag of words approach, each word is given a like a column, and then you have each product has a 1 or a 0 depending on whether or not it has that word, and that actually allows us to perform a vector query. So if I wanted to go ahead and just try this, let's say that let's go with like a product ID here. So if I wanted to go with this DataStax black hoodie, what I'm going to do is actually search by that vector. So I'm going to say, I've got to remember how to do this now. We'll say select ID and name, and we'll say from product vector, and we're going to say order by ANN of, and then we're going to give it, I think it's product vector. So it's the column name first of the vector type. And then I'm going to actually paste in the vector. Oh, didn't like that. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Order by. Oh, okay. Yep, I did the syntax wrong. Okay, so I don't need it encapsulated inside of a param list. It's just ANN and then order by. Here we go. So if we say order by product vector, and then we say ANN of. Oh, come on. Table product vector does not exist? What? You know what? I bet I named that plural. Let's try that. Product vectors. Oh, yep. Okay. And this is a good point. I'm glad I stumbled on this in front of you. When you run a CQL query for a vector, obviously it's using that secondary index, or secondary storage attached index, I should say. So you have to have a limit. Otherwise, it'll run across the entire cluster, and you don't want that. So let me do a limit 10. Okay. Hey, yes. All right. We did a vector query here. So based on this initial vector, I did get 100% matches on the other DataStax black hoodie sizes. However, the first one that comes back, that's not one of the product, part of the product group that I was in, is this DataStax gray track jacket. So that would actually be the product that I would promote in this case. So, all right. So with that being said, let's try to make this work here. So what I'm going to do, let's go back to our databases. So I have vector DB active. Yeah, let's just get rid of that for now. All right. So I'm going to try generating a new token here. And because Spring Boot requires like schema access, you need to make sure that that's a database administrator role token, or sorry, not Spring Boot, Spring Data. Yep, so I give it all that. Outstanding. Okay, let's say generate. All right. Yeah, let me put my token info there. And, you know, I do recommend downloading it as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so as you can see, Gitpod comes up with, you know, opened up in the README. One of the things that you'll need to do, okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change out my token here. Hang on just a sec. All right. So, okay. So I've got that in there. My database ID looks correct. I hope. Key space is e-commerce. The streaming stuff, you know, we don't really need it for this. But the, you know, the Google stuff we need if we wanted to actually sign in, you can actually do this without having to sign in using, excuse me, single sign-on. But having it there just kind of makes things easier. Okay, so with all that being there, I'm going to go down here and try start.shell. And let's get rid of that warning. Okay, with any luck, hopefully this does it. Okay, found the database ID. Oh yeah, something it didn't like. Oh, hey, it started. Okay, so when this happens in Gitpod, you remember that you may need to allow it to allow pop-ups. And that's because once you bring up Spring Boot and you're running it, it brings it up inside of another window. Oh, and yeah. Okay. Let me switch over to ports here. Yeah, there we go. Let's go open up 8080. Okay, and that actually did come up. Now the thing is, though, I know none of you can see it, so let me go to Restream and jump over to the new tab. Okay, let's go. Here's our DataStax black hoodie. So if I click into this, there we go. That's coming back. The fact that we're seeing images and data coming back means that we are in fact getting through to the database. All right, so I'm extra large, so if I was gonna, get another DataStax black hoodie, I would go ahead and add it to my cart as an XL. Okay, and here it is. Look, it popped up and suggested that we might like the DataStax gray track jacket. How about that, huh? All right, so let me dismiss that for a sec. Let's now that was the exact example that I said that that I tried from the CQL command line. So let's try a different one just so you can see that this isn't like all pre-made or anything. Let's go with t-shirts here, and we'll go with the Apache Cassandra 3.0 contributor t-shirt. And again, I'm an extra large. And when I say add to cart, let's see what it suggests. Oh, and now it likes the DataStax black hoodie. That's kind of cool. we got a little circular referencing going on there. But yeah, so this is kind of how it works, where it's able to rely on a vector search and provide recommendations or approximations, in real time. Let's try the DataStax gray track jacket. Actually, if it works like two ways, this should bring up the hoodie, I think. Yeah, and there's the hoodie. So I should also let's see. Let me jump back to let me jump back to Gitpod for just a second here. All right, back in Gitpod, let's have a look at some of our code here. So if I go into backend, source, main, Java, and we want service, and this is going to be under product. So yeah, so now if you look in here, you can see where I wrote the product vector dal.java for data access layer. This is where I integrated this all into the e-commerce project. So if we open this up, and let's get ourselves some more real estate here. Maybe, yeah, bump the font one more time. All right. So kind of the way this data access layer works is that it first establishes a connection to Cassandra or Astra based on the environment variables that you're already providing. And then it works on this method of get product vector by ID. So the thought is that when we add a product to our cart, we're calling this method because we have the product ID and we want to pull back the vector information. So we do this query here, we're selecting from that product vectors table by ID. Once we have that, we process the result set. Secondly, we have this method of get products by ANN. So essentially, on our recommendation service call, we're taking the result of this get product vector by ID. We're grabbing the vector and sending it back here. So that's what we're searching on here. So we go ahead and do this query again from product vectors, but this time we're doing an order by product vector ANN of whatever our vector is, and then limit 8 is what I have in there for now. Just because you can get back several within a product group, and 8 is, in terms of like business requirements, beyond what a normal product group would be, so that should be a safe number. So essentially, if your ANN is of a size greater than 1 for the result set, it'll go ahead and put together a list of product vectors and return that. So now if we have a look at the product REST controller here, and we go down, oh, come on, where is it? Yeah, here we go, get promotion product. So basically here, we're taking a product ID. Here's where we're getting our original products vector by ID. And then here's where we're getting our recommended products by the original product by just sending that and then pulling the vector inside that method. And again, if our list of product vectors comes back and it's of size greater than 1, what we do is we start iterating through and we're pulling off that product group property. And what that product group property is going to allow us to do is see whether or not the products coming back on the recommendation are within the original product's product group. Because if they are, well, then they're the same product really, and we don't want to show that. But the first one we get that's not in that group is the one we want to return right here. So that's a little bit about how the code works behind the scenes. So this was our hands-on, and we actually got most of this to work. The sign-on didn't work, but I realized that I used the wrong Google ID. Remember when you set up single sign-on with Google, you have to give it a like a callback IP address. Well, that ID that I used was one I created for testing on my own machine, so it's trying to go back to 127.0.0.1, which does not work out in Gitpod. Hey, thank you all so much for sticking around. This one was certainly an adventure, but in the end, we got everything to work. So, hey, thanks everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you all for the next workshop.